Hey everyone, it's Jamie Broderick. Welcome to our bonus webinar. Today we're going to be meeting with Ellen Palmer. She is a rock star in the lifestyle design space. She's a health and wellness coach as well, award-winning. Don't want to leave that out. And I love what your passion is, Ellen. So I'm going to read it word for word. She is passionate about helping business owners, professionals, and young adults step beyond the limits of their fears and their doubts to recognize their unique talents, achieve their full potential, and create their ideal life with great health, happiness, and success.
Yes.
Love it. How are you, Ellen?
Let's do this. Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited. So Today we're going to talk about how to stop the spin of overwhelm. Because especially this time of year with the transition during the school year, a lot of people are overwhelmed. But for business owners, people get overwhelmed often, and it keeps them stuck in the same spot. So that's what our topic is today. So before we get started with the content, I thought you could meet your audience.
Yes.
So I'm going to unmute everyone. And we'll start with Amy on the phone. You want to say who you are, what you do really quickly, and then what you find is most overwhelming.
Yes. Hi, Jamie. Hi, everyone. This is Amy Hoke. I'm a brand promoter with Lavelle.com. I get to help people feel their best every day. Right now, definitely the transition from the school year, May was so busy, and still managing, my business and the pockets of time that I have has been overwhelming, but I'm just trying to take it one thing at a time. Thanks. I'm excited to hear everything you have to share today, Ellen.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate you sharing with me too. That's very helpful.
Marissa, you want to go next?
Good morning. I'm Marissa. I'm a writer, and I help people with their business copywriting, finding the right words to express themselves authentically. I also help people with resumes and do my own creative writing. As a newly self-employed person, just 6 weeks in, I feel like I have a sort of Russian nesting dolls of overwhelm. It's just this, you open up one and the next level comes through. So it's the level of overwhelm that has to do with just being a newly self-employed person. But then I find that underneath that is how, if you even get a handle on that, how do you come to terms with also, having a healthy lifestyle, and then interacting with other humans that live around you. So there's a whole big ball of wax there to have fun with.
And it's beautiful. You've just described it perfectly, right? The Russian dolls, we all have that visual now of like you unpack one and there's another, and then you think you're doing great, and then there's another. So you've described it perfectly. Thank you. That helps me.
Really good.
Yeah.
Joan?
Hi, I'm Joan Kimmel. I'm a realtor. I'm based on Long Island, but I work for a big company, Douglas Elliman, and we're worldwide. And basically, I've been trying through Jamie and all these great connections to increase my social media presence, and I find that overwhelming because I'm not great at it, and there's so many different avenues, and I've been getting so much information and trying to do so much with it, and I find it takes up so much time and mental energy, and I don't see the direct rewards, and I can't really afford to hire someone right now to streamline it, and I find that part is a little overwhelming for me.
I can certainly understand that. And you two are describing something that we're going to talk about today very specifically, and that's skill. So thanks for sharing that, Joan.
That's great. Would Julie or Kathleen like to introduce themselves, tell us your name and what you do, and what you find most overwhelming?
Sure. Hi, this is Kathleen Holt-White. Hello, Jamie. Hello, Ellen, and everyone. It's great to be here on the call. I'm so glad I had this hour available. And that's probably what's most overwhelming for me is in my business, I spend a lot of time supporting others in their advocacy work on the Hill and through leadership coaching. And so I find that I end up with support fatigue because I'm giving outwardly and helping other people reach their authentic self and success, and don't always make the time to focus inwardly enough. So that ends up feeling very overwhelming. And so I am determined to interrupt that cycle and thought this session could certainly help propel that.
Okay, good for you, because you have to be willing, right? I can teach you 50,000 strategies to combat overwhelm, which will feel overwhelming too, because you don't need 50,000. My point is, unless you're willing to receive it and you're willing to make things different in your life, it won't happen. So what I hear from you, Kathleen, is this willingness, and that's such an important distinction that I'll have you all just tune into right now. It's like, just be willing. If I'm saying anything throughout our time here today, just ask yourself, can I be willing? Can I just be willing to try something different? So thank you so much, Kathleen. I hear you. And support fatigue is very real. I'm a coach too. And so many people say to me, like, how do you do it? How do you talk to people about what you do all day, every day, and many different genres and facets, and also run a nonprofit and stand upright and work out and feed my family and take vacations and run my own business too? So I hear you. And if I can do it, Kathleen, trust me, anybody can do it. It's just a matter of skill. So thanks for sharing.
That's great. And Kathleen, I have to say, I'm thrilled to see you on this call, because I haven't seen you in years, since the mother-daughter events way back when.
I know it's been a long, long time. So we're going to change that.
Awesome. I don't know if you were listening earlier during our networking session, but I'm a co-producer for TEDx Lincoln Square in New York City, and we just got our license for 2018. So perhaps you want to apply to get on our stage, or at least come and watch. So I'd love to see you again. Yeah.
Yes.
Julie is on the phone as well. She's in a place where she can't chat, so I'll just do a quick intro. I don't know Julie Kaminsky very well, but she and Susie Carpenter were introduced online because I discovered Julie, and she was writing a book called Cupcake Moments. And I thought Susie would be a great source for her book, so I connected them, and we had a little Zoom chat, and all worked out great. It was a nice little match made in heaven. So there is a chat box if you guys want to type anything in while Ellen's doing her presentation. So for now, I'm going to mute our attendees, and we'll launch into some content. Sound good, Ellen?
Sounds perfect. Thank you, Jamie, for having me on. I think it's such an important time of year for so many of us. Whether we have kids or don't, there's just this frenetic energy that's going on. Things are wrapping up. We're heading into a new season. Our businesses, we're at the end of our second quarter going, okay, where am I? What am I trying to create? And am I on track for that? So it's just a real crazy, frenetic time of year. I feel it too. I want you to know I don't sit in my glass house throwing stones at y'all. I am living and breathing this all day, every day. I have 2 teenage boys who are very busy, one of which is getting ready to apply for colleges, and he just got his first job. So I hear you. I hear you. So that being said, why don't I give you a little bit of background about my overwhelm? Like, how did I really get good at being overwhelmed? Because I think in order to understand how to not be overwhelmed, you have to understand how you are overwhelmed in the first place. And I think this goes way back, right? I'm like Steve Martin. I was born a poor Black child. So like I was born and I was overwhelmed. I was born into a family. I was not like anyone in my family. It's like I was dropped from outer space. Maybe some of you have felt that way over the course of your upbringing, but my family was very, very shy, and I was really, really curious. And because I was really curious, they just gave me a ton of responsibility since I was a very, very young girl, because I would do it. I was the girl that would do everything. And I remember being on the phone when I was 5. I had just gotten home from kindergarten, and my mom asked me to call and make a hair appointment for her because she was too shy to do it. And so over the course of time, I was just the one that would do everything and take responsibility for everything and everyone, including people's emotional issues, people shared with me, again, at a very young age, different things that they were going through. And so I took that all on. I didn't know any differently. But as you might imagine, at age 5 to like last week, I didn't always have the skill to be able to handle that, right? So not last week, but from age 5 to like 30, I didn't have the skill. So here I was trying to do something that I had no idea how to handle, right? So I've already heard that come up once today with, I believe it was Joan, maybe, or
Yes.
no, maybe it was Marissa. So someone was talking about just, you know, doing something new and having a new business and really trying to, I believe it was Marissa, just really trying to understand all the things that you're supposed to be doing and maintain your life. Well, that was me. And so I got really, really, really good at taking things on without having the skill to support myself. And so as you can imagine, that was very overwhelming. And what that created in me was a lot of health issues. So think of all of this energy coming to me. I'm trying to manage everything as a young person without skill. This settled into my cells, into my bones, into my stomach. I had an ulcer. I had gynecological issues. I had hormone balance. I had these weird seizures and bad skin and allergies. My body was always on fire because I had so much stress in my body. I had so much cortisol. It just caused all these different health issues. And so that was very overwhelming. So I had this emotional overwhelm of not knowing how to support everybody and support myself and figure out how to run my life. And I had all these health issues that were going on. And so because I was trained from a very young age just to push on and work hard, I did. And I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, you know, really successful corporate career. I feel very blessed to have had a great corporate career. But in that environment, I was then compensated and promoted and patted on the back for being in a constant state of overwhelm and being a really good problem solver and a really good connector. Can anyone relate to any of this? Right? So we get compensated for being overwhelmed.
Yeah, a little golden handcuff moment there.
It was, right? So beautiful career, beautiful salary, beautiful stock options and corner office and traveling all over the country in a complete state of overwhelm. And so what I'm here to tell you is that anyone can recover from this. And we all have those pinnacle moments that cause us to stop the spin and get very real with ourselves and enable ourselves to be willing for change. Lots of times that has to come through something that we will really pay attention to, right? So it's going to come through people we love. It's going to come through our health. It's going to come through our bank account and our career. Those are the big ones. That's where we're going to pay attention. So sure enough, our first son was born with digestive issues and he had surgery. Not like me. My first surgery was when I was 19 and I had 12 subsequently. He had his first surgery when he was 2 months old. I handed my baby over to an ER doctor who couldn't find a vein because he was so malnourished. Now he had a very common condition called pyloric stenosis. He couldn't get better without surgery. And in that moment I went, I will be damned if my child is going to suffer like I have suffered my whole life. And what I kept doing was just push through the pain. Doctors didn't have answers. So it was just duct taped and glued and stapled together and sent on my merry way with prescriptions. And I was not about to let that happen to him. So beautiful moment in this awful contrast with a lot of tears. I made a commitment to myself that I was going to figure out how to calm the overwhelm in our bodies so that he could have comfort and joy and not carry the sense of constant stress around with him as I had. So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And because I was very high functioning, stressed out, overwhelmed person, didn't necessarily mean that that was good for anybody. So I had tons of responsibility. I've always had tons of responsibility. Because there was so much going on all the time, I was a worrier. So, you know, when you're overwhelmed, you're worried a lot. Like, how am I going to get it all done? How am I going to find the resources to get it all done? How am I going to create time, right? Everyone gets 168 hours. How can I get 169 or 170 or 270, which is what I always felt I needed. And so I was always worried, which also caused me to feel overwhelmed. So I'm sharing a lot of the bad news with you right now because I want you to know that it's very real, and it's very real for most people. this constant state of worry that we're in, that we don't have enough of something, whether it be health, money, love, contributes to the overwhelm. So I'm not going to jump ahead yet to some of the strategies, but I want you to just feel that for a moment and understand that it is very real and it's normal. Worrying causes overwhelm. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? We'll get to that in a second. What's also interesting in this whole scenario that I've described to you, it didn't matter how good I was at problem solving. It didn't matter how unskilled I was to handle the things that I was dealt. I still felt like I was not enough, right? So that sort of sits at the foundation of all of our overwhelm, feeling like we are enough and we are doing enough and we just are enough simply by existing, and feeling okay with that, feeling fulfilled in that. So that sense of not feeling enough can feel very overwhelming. What else do I have to chase? What other hoop do I have to jump through in order to feel like I've earned the right to feel good about myself, to feel like I'm on track in my business, to feel like I am giving and receiving love equally, at least in my relationships, or earning the right kind of money? Like, what hoops do I have to jump through to satisfy my enoughness, to feel like I'm worth it or that I deserve it? And so those are some of the underlying ways that I have felt overwhelmed in my life. And they're also very similar from what I hear in my years of coaching, both in my corporate experience and as an entrepreneur, that most people deal with. And I coach young adults, and I coach business executives, and I coach entrepreneurs. So I see a wide range of commitment to overwhelm. So I know that sounds funny. I'm going to unpack that in just a second. So in the first place, people are generally overwhelmed because, like, if I look back on why I felt overwhelmed, or if I look back at why my clients feel overwhelmed, there's like 3 big buckets that I would put them in. One is they just don't have the clarity of who they are, who they want to be in their ideal version, right? So follow me here for a second. We wake up and we often think, what do I need to do today to get through this day and crawl back in this bed? Because it is so safe and so comfortable here. And I do this well, right? Like, I do this well. And so we're starting our day with this, how do I survive this day? So we don't often have clarity on what the ideal version of our day is, because we're so busy practicing the not ideal version of the day. We're practicing the survival day. So when I talk about lack of clarity, what I mean is we need to get clear on what the ideal version of our day looks like without overwhelm. Many people, because they have lack of clarity, are either overscheduled or underscheduled. They're overscheduled with multiple priorities. They're like throwing things against the wall to see what's going to stick. As business owners, we can relate to this, right? It's like, well, what do I want to provide in the marketplace? Well, that almost doesn't matter. What do people want to buy? Because I'll just create what they want to buy. I'll just give them what they want. And you have to stop that madness at some point and just say, no. What are you magically here to do? Because it's your version of your ideal. So because we have lack of clarity, we're often overscheduled with all these different priorities, and we have an unrealistic perception of how much time it takes to get things done. And so we end up by not finishing certain things. And even though it's not finished, you think, oh, it's fine. It's over there in the unfinished pile. That unfinished pile is so massively overwhelming, because this feeds into your, see, I didn't do it again. I'm not enough, which drives your overscheduling in other areas. So again, I'm stirring around in the stuff that doesn't feel good right now. And I promise you some solutions are coming, but you can almost start to feel like, listen to the things that I'm saying and just see if they resonate with you. And there's no judgment in any of this. None of this is actually even bad, because if you're doing this and you're happy, yay you should keep doing it. But if you're doing these types of things and you are suffering, It's because you're meant to see it and feel it and then be able to choose differently. So stick with me here. So if we have lack of clarity, we're either overscheduled or almost worse, we're underscheduled. Like we can't put anything on our calendar because we're not really clear on how we're supposed to be spending our day. And so we have all these huge, massive gaps in our schedule. Like for me, a massive gap is 2 hours. And I know we all have a matter of perspective here. And so something that could take us 5 minutes then takes us 2 hours. And then we feel lack of time, which feels overwhelming. Or because we have this big open space in our calendar, we procrastinate. It's like, well, I'll just do these 25 other things. And then, oops, I never got to that one thing. So you see how that just circles back? Okay, so mostly people are overwhelmed because of this lack of clarity about the ideal version of what they want their life and their business to look like. They're just in survival mode. Another way that people feel pretty overwhelmed, and some of you have touched on this, is this deep commitment to working hard, right? So we're taught from a very young age, as I shared with you, to just work hard, right? So we have a successful real estate agent, we have a successful leadership coach and a writer and a promoter. Like we're doing important things in the world. And at some point you were probably told, just keep working hard, nose to the grindstone, deeply commit to this, and all will work out well. We have a lot of pride in this. The harder I work, the more pride I feel. And so what's interesting is if you are committed to working hard, as we've all bought into, and we get good at what we practice, we are getting really good at working hard, which makes it really, really, really hard to work easy. We're just not committed to it. I've talked a lot about this in another organization that I belong to, and it's what are we committed to, or what are we interested in? The way the brain fires, maybe you saw this brain study, I love studying the brain, that when you're interested in something, there are thousands of neural pathways in your brain that fire. Like if you look at this, it's so cool. Like, oh, she's interested, boom, it's like a fireworks display. So there's all these different things going on, and it overwhelms the brain because the brain has to make constant decisions. And so the only way to get that to quiet down is to say, well, what of these neural pathways can I shut down? And if you can come up with an excuse for something, the brain is relieved. It's like, oh, I've got an excuse in my back pocket here. Let's just shut that one down and shut that one down and shut that one down, which prevents you from getting the thing that you're interested in done. Now, when you're committed to something, that's what's even cooler in the brain. It's like 3 neural pathways, boom, boom, boom. You're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. The brain knows it's simple and it's going to take you on that path. And so if you're committed to hard, things line up for you to be hard and to feel overwhelming. If you're committed to ease, they will line up for you to have ease. If you're interested in ease, you're doomed. There will be excuse after excuse after excuse. So just tuck that back. We're going to revisit in a minute. Because we are deeply committed to working hard, we sometimes get into that spin of perfectionism. Like, I'm not sure I worked hard enough, so let me just tweak this again and again and again and again and again. Anyone relate? Jamie, I see a sly smile there.
Well, I'm thinking of a client I had who just could never get to that finish line. She always wanted to, I'm all about making improvements, but not when it stops everything.
Yeah. And sometimes it's based on our commitment to being enough or our commitment to working hard. If it came too easily to us, maybe we haven't worked hard enough, and maybe people won't think it's good enough because I don't think I'm good enough. Do you see the spin? Like, this is the spin of overwhelm. And it's okay, because it's here to show you what you don't want. Seeing what you don't want is as important as it is to see what you do want. The other reason I see, and this is absolutely true for me personally, is that most people are feeling overwhelmed because they are not fueling their one body that does everything for them for their entire life with things that were designed for the human body. Now, I know we've been talking about some existential things here, some thought and feeling and belief things, but this one is really they're all grounded in science, but this one is something that people overlook all the time. Maybe you've heard some of the other stuff before. If you are fueling your body with pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, artificial flavors, artificial dyes, artificial sweeteners, artificial coloring, too much sugar, which is a drug, too much alcohol, which is a drug, and other intense foods like caffeine, your body is freaking out all day long. You don't see it because the body's very forgiving. But when you take in information, your body's like a massive intelligent computer system. And it's taking in information with what you smell, what you put on your skin, what you taste, what you eat, what you drink. And it's running a little computer program that says, are you a friend or are you an enemy? Because if you're a friend, come on in. Let's put you to work. We've got a lot of things for you to do, right? There's thousands and thousands of functions every second of your awake time and sleep time. You don't see all the jobs that are going on, but there's a lot happening. And if you're a friend, you're going to get sent to work immediately. If something comes in that was not designed for your human form, it has to go through several other computer programs that say, okay, if you are this, then this. If you are this, then that. If you are toxic, like all those things I just described are, I've got to call in the emergency team to deal with you, right? And so I've got to protect you and keep you alive. That's my job as your computer system, is to keep you alive. And so if something's coming in that the body doesn't recognize as for the human form, it tucks it away for you into a cell or a tissue. We have trillions of cells, and our cells act like buckets. And so over the course of time, usually when we're 40, we start to have daily symptoms, and we're like, oh, I'm 40. This is a process of aging. No, it's not. Say this is a cell. Over the course of time, all of that toxicity, all of that garbage that came in gets dumped into your cell, which acts like a bucket. And so that just layers and layers and layers and layers. And you think, well, big deal. The body's brilliant. It can handle this. Well, it can. But too much of it, it cannot. If you put paint or ketchup in the gas tank of your car, it would break immediately. Your body prevents itself from breaking with all of these different computer algorithms that keep you alive. But while it's focusing on all of that, it cannot focus on giving you clear thought, balancing your hormones, switching the lever on that allows serotonin, that happy, feel-good chemical that goes to the brain that helps you feel calm and level. It cannot support your adrenal glands and your energy. It cannot support healthy digestion, which is where you're getting all the nutrients for you to have all those processes run well. And so people are walking around in a massive state of overwhelm all day because they aren't putting real things into the one human form that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. And so there's no judgment. Again, there's no judgment in that. If you're having Twinkies and coffee for breakfast and you feel great, good on you. That's fantastic. But if you're suffering and you're feeling overwhelmed, consider that it could be how you're fueling your body. It's one very important component of how you are living your life. So intense foods create intensity in the body. Artificial anything, especially sweeteners, some of the most toxic things we can put in our body, are absolutely gumming up your body's ability to feel calm, to make clear decisions, to strategize, to feel love, to feel abundant, to feel grateful, and to feel joyful. So
it's all a big catch-22 though, huh, Ellen?
Well,
because as you get more overwhelmed, then you tend to eat more crap.
Yes.
And then you become more overwhelmed. And then
Yes.
you worry more, and then you become more overwhelmed.
It is. It's like this hamster wheel, right? We're all very familiar with the hamster wheel. And it's like, how do you get off that thing? Like, how do you stop the spin of this massive overwhelm? And we're going there next. You know, let's just go there, because as I've said before, if you're in this and you feel great you should keep doing what you're doing. But most people have identified that they're suffering in one way, shape, or another. So if you're suffering, suffering is only designed to help you to pay attention. That's its only job. And so we're going to get much more into this at the retreat in the fall, which I'm so excited for. I mean, we're really going to get deep into the underlying foundational things that are causing people to be stuck. Like they'll get some good strategies going and they'll get stuck. And we don't have the time to get into all of that here, but I'm going to give you some like 3 really, really good things. And then we'll explore the rest in September. So one of the things that I think is just so important for us is understanding that we are a mind, a body, and a spirit. You've heard this before, but let me help you understand what this really means. We are here in this 3D human form in 3 ways. We are our body, right? We can touch ourselves. We know we're a bunch of cells that are all fused together through energy and ions. We know that we have a mind. We think our mind is here in our brain. We'll talk about that later, but we have a mind and we have a spirit. And many people think our spirit is our religion. Our spirit is not our religion. Our spirit is our energy, right? So think of, let's go science here for a second. I'm not going to go too deep, I promise, but I love science. Everything is energy. This pen, energy. These scissors, energy. Computer, headphones, you, me, we are all energy. Scientifically, we are nothing but a high vibrational frequency. Isn't that alarming? But when you can understand that, you're going to be more willing to receive what else I have to share with you. So if everything is energy, including all the things we just talked about, and energy creates energy, scientifically proven, it's energy that creates energy. We have to look at our energy, which is our spirit. It's our essence. Some people call it a soul. I call it a soul. Your soul is nothing other than the vibration that is you. So that's not religion. That's science. And they've done all these really cool studies on what we are actually. So yes, we are cells, but we're also this energy field, this energy force that's interpreting information outside of ourselves. Our thought is actually the 3rd to 5th step in our thought process. It starts with interpreting something in our energetic field, which then sends a message to our heart, and then our heart sends a message to our brain or our mind. So I wish this was my theory. It's not. This is science from way back to the original creation. And so let's look at this. So we are a body, we are a mind, and we are a spirit. And Jamie, that hamster wheel that we talk about, that spin of overwhelm, is because we are playing whack-a-mole, right? We're like, I'm going to deal with my health. My health is great. Now something else pops up. It's like those Russian dolls. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the Russian doll. So you get one going and you're like, woohoo, I've got this. And then because you're not focusing on those other 2 things that you are, so maybe you've got your health under alignment, something's got to pop up somewhere else because you're not focused on this balance. So when people talk about life balance, I think they think in terms of I'm either working too much or I'm not working enough. I'm either home enough or I'm not home enough. I want you to think of balance differently. Balance is at the intersection of your body, your mind, and your spirit. If you are not taking the time to easily focus on all 3, you will always feel overwhelmed. And I'm not saying that to you to overwhelm you. I am gifting you what I didn't know for 17 plus years, right? So for 17 years, I've been studying this very, very, very intently. Before that, I didn't know it. And I wish that someone had told me. I thought balance was something entirely different. So one of the strategies is to make time, and I will teach you how in a second. Don't get worried. Take a deep breath. It's all good. It is all good all the time. So one of our strategies is to make time in our day to focus on your body, to focus on your thoughts, and to focus on your spirit, which is your energy. Now, how do you do that? Okay. How do we practice ease, because we've gotten really, really, really good at practicing overwhelm. Like we wake up in the morning and we just feel overwhelmed. It just starts immediately.
Some people seem to enjoy being in that state, like in a masochistic way. Like they're proud that their clean laundry is piled on their couch forever.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well, perfect. It's that commitment to hard. It's almost that martyrdom. It's like the harder I work, the better of a person I am. The more I sacrifice of my own joy, the greater a person I am. We all go to these funerals, right? I don't mean to be sacrilege. I go to these funerals and I hear about these women who have sacrificed everything for everyone else, and my heart breaks a little bit more. Because it's beautiful, but they don't know what we now know, which is when you are full, when we are full, we can do so much more to raise the energy of our families. We can do so much more to get our goodness and our businesses out into the world. We can do so much more when we feel calm and loved and fulfilled. We can do so much more. And I just wish those women knew what we now know. You don't have to sacrifice and feel a deep sense of pride that you have given it all away to everyone else. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can have it all. It is actually meant. Life is meant for you to have it all. We just aren't trained. We just don't have the skill to do that, right? It's like, take me back to when I was 5. I didn't have the skill to run my household and everyone's emotional stability. I was not equipped. Well, we are trying to run our lives ill-equipped with the things that actually truly make a difference. We are playing whack-a-mole on our to-do lists and our bank accounts and our health and our relationships. And it's fine. It's fine. It actually creates that tension in you, that contrast to say, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. Like when my son went into the emergency room and had to have surgery. That was my enough is enough moment. Just because you can tolerate and just because you are a rock star at tolerating and suffering doesn't mean that it's for you. If you're suffering, that is the invitation. Consider it an evite from the universe to say, this has been lovely, but please join our party. So joining your party is you making time to make yourself a priority to focus on your body, your mind, and your spirit. Here's how. Many people resist structure, or maybe I'll just go on the record as saying I resisted structure massively my whole life. Because I had so much responsibility, I always felt kind of pent in and bound up, and I just couldn't wait to be expanded and free from my worry, from my sense of responsibility. So I just developed this skill or this habit of not having structure because I felt like I just can't have one more thing. Well, structure will set you free for sure. It sets limits on the crazy train that is you being an over worrier, an overachiever, an overdoer of hard stuff, for lack of a better term. We'll need the copywriter to jump in there and find a better we need to repackage that. But it's just an opportunity to say, enough is enough. Okay, so structure is your path to freedom. What does that look like? If you are starting your day, jumping out of bed and tackling your to-do list, congratulations. I know that makes you feel really, really, really good. But I want to borrow something that I said in the beginning. I want to invite you to be willing to start your day differently. If we get good at what we practice, and we are very practiced, accomplished, overwhelmed beings, like I was an overaccomplished, Olympic caliber warrior, it's time to shift that by being willing to practice ease. So the most efficient and effective way to run your life is to start your life the minute your eyes open in a different thought. Because you're really good at just saying, okay, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. Pretty sure I'm not going to have time to work out or eat or read a book or take a breath or go to the bathroom. But that's okay because I'll be getting a lot done. You're practiced. Your mind knows how to do that. The basal ganglia in the center of your brain has developed these habits based on your patterns to make your life easier. Now it's time to retrain that brain to say, dear basal ganglia, I've got some new practices that I would love for you to turn into habits, which are starting my day with ease. The very first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I reach for my nightstand and I pull out something inspirational. If you saw my nightstand, you would feel overwhelmed, but it doesn't overwhelm me. I have a wide variety of different magazines and books and quotes and things that cause me to get into a higher vibrational frequency immediately. So the first thing I'm doing is taking my energy to the highest level that I can in that moment without pressure. I'm literally just reading some words and taking it in and allowing myself to feel easeful. That causes me to practice this state of ease. So if you are launching yourself out of bed and you feel like you have to do that, okay, keep doing that. But then the very second you can take 5 minutes to read something or listen to something inspirational, I invite you to do that. I have a whole morning routine. If you go to my website, you can get the download. It's 5 Steps to a Better Day. If you want to shoot me an email, whatever, if you want it, just let me know that you want it and I'll get it to you. And it's a very simple morning routine. And it's based on this notion that we are a mind, body, and our spirit. We are nothing but a vibration. So let's get into the highest version. So schedule your morning routine. Allow just 10 minutes to get started. You don't even need it to be longer than that. And it's going to allow you to focus your day very differently. Take a minute to feel how you want to feel throughout the whole day. Right? So I used to work with a woman, an executive within the insurance industry, and she was really suffering. And I asked her, okay, what's the first thing you think about first thing in the morning? She's like, well, what do you mean? I said, honestly, like, what's your first thought? She said, usually, almost always, it's, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time to get it all done. And so she never had enough time to get it all done. That's how powerful we are as this energetic force. And so she was creating, every minute was booked. She'd work till 7. She wouldn't take lunch. She wouldn't get outside. She'd go home and she'd work some more. Choose your first thoughts easily. Take them to the higher level. I'm belaboring that point so clearly, maybe we all need to hear it, maybe even me. Okay, schedule your day in chunks. This is nothing new, but I want to give it a different spin. When you are feeling overwhelmed, when you are feeling stressed, when you're feeling you have lack of anything, lack of time, lack of energy, lack of freedom, lack of love, lack of money, I want you to stop. And I just want you to breathe. And I just want you to take time to feel some gratitude and recall a time where you felt ease. It's a daydream time. It's not just to plow through like, oh, I'll just do this after I finish writing the speech. I'll just do this after I get this invoice out, or I build one more page of a website. No, it's to stop in that moment when you have the realization, because what you're doing is you're rewiring your brain in a really easy and powerful way, which is to stop. Realign to that feeling that you wanted to have in the beginning part of the day and allow yourself to feel it. Daydreaming is beaten out of us from a young age. We're told it is frivolous. It's not productive. I argue that it is the most important way to spend our day. We are all just moving from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. Your brain is processing 1 billion bits of information every second, and you're constantly being bombarded by everyone else's energy and technology. Your brain never gets a break to process anything. So you may be getting stuff done, but you might be tasking yourself right into a brick wall. Stop the madness. Real quick health crisis. I had 2 really, really bad concussions. One was on a skiing accident right after Natasha Richardson passed away. Actually, mine was 3 days later. And then 1 year later, I fell on the rocks down at the beach and smashed my head in the same place. I had to close another business that I was running, and I had to close my coaching practice, and I had to stare at a wall for 2 months because I wouldn't pay attention to all of the hundreds of signs that were coming to me to slow down in my life. I just shoved it down and shoved it down. I didn't pay attention because I was too busy to pay attention. I would have much rather received that tap on my shoulder that said slow down, as opposed to having to close down a business and unemploy 17 people and leave all of my coaching clients on hold for 2 months and have repercussions with my concussion for years to come after that. So when we're quiet, when we take time throughout the day to practice ease and to just allow time to daydream about feeling great, when was the last time we had that feeling of fulfillment or ease or joy or abundance, then we're just going to stay overwhelmed. So I invite you to realign throughout the day. You knew this was coming. I have to say it. This will change your game. You have to fuel your body with the things that your body recognizes. We don't have to overcomplicate this. If you go back to the beginning of time, what did we have access to? Things that were on the land, the trees, and the seas. That's it. There were no food manufacturers. There were no bleaching agents. There were no ways to strip bran off of our whole grains. We just had things from the land, the trees, and the seas. I could spend a ton of time on this. Again, I'm not going to right now, but you get one vehicle, one vessel throughout your whole life to have all of the experiences you're trying to have. You can only love because you have a body. You can only succeed in business because you have a body. You can only earn money because you have a body. And we take it for granted. So if you have this one vessel for your entire life, show it some love, give it some respect, stop demanding that it is going to function for you at all costs, even when you're not feeding it, even when you're filling it with garbage, even when you are not giving it any rest. There's no judgment in any of this. I've done it myself. I just want to invite you to be willing to look at how you can change your game and feel successful with ease. So fuel your body. Let me go back to planning. Let me go back to that structure. Plan time to grocery shop or have it delivered to your home. Plan time in your schedule to either chop some vegetables or have vegetables chopped for you. Plan time to eat and hold it as if it is the most sacred meeting you have all day. You would never walk out to your car and expect it to drive you across country if you didn't fuel it. You wouldn't. It would be preposterous. You're like, oh, my car's on empty. Darn. Yet we wake up and we don't fuel our bodies and we expect to have clear thought and loving relationships and ease and calm and peace and success. So build that into your structure. Another way to change the mindset, I know you've heard this another way, but I want to share this with you in a little bit different of a way. Many people talk about the success mindset, right? In order to be successful, you have to think like a successful person. Well, when you don't feel successful, that is ridiculously hard, right? You're like, I am such a fraud. So what you're doing is you're energizing this fraud version of yourself. Many of us feel overwhelmed because we don't feel successful yet. And so we're doing all these things so that we can feel successful. We're jumping through hoops. We're creating conditions so we can feel successful. We're supporting everyone in their success, but we're not taking the time to count our successes. So the success mindset for me, and I would love for all of you to begin practicing today, is just to choose success. You don't have to jump through another hoop ever. You're standing upright and you make a difference in at least one person's day. You are a huge, huge, huge success. If you do nothing else, you are hugely successful. Take the time to breathe that in. I know it feels overwhelming to have all these things on your plate. I made myself sick several times in my life because I refused to believe that I didn't need to do anything else to prove myself, that I already was successful, and that I was given the opportunity to feel fulfilled and then do everything with a sense of joy. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you just chose to feel fulfilled and you did everything because you wanted to?
That's
You would,
it. Yep.
you would say no more often, and knowing that you're doing the other person a favor. So how do you adopt this success mindset? And I know this is different from what you're learning, and I'm not trying to be contrary. I just know that this works. And that is, from the minute you wake up, allow yourself to feel successful. I get up, I do my inspirational reading. I'm still doing it in bed, by the way. And I feel like I'm a huge success. I take a shower. I'm a huge success. I go to the bathroom. I'm a huge success. I brush my teeth. I'm a huge success. I make my own breakfast. I'm a huge success. I have 2 teenage boys. They make their own, which is equipping them to go out into the world to be successful, happy, well-adjusted, emotionally intelligent children as an adult version. I take care of myself, and I feel really, really successful about that. And everything I do, if I return an email, I'm a huge success. So remember, we get good at what we practice. We practice overwhelm, and we get really good at it. And you should all be commended. And I know it's a great sense of pride because you're doing what you were taught to do. It's like, hey, I learned a skill. I'm doing it well. Yay me. And if that serves you, that's awesome. But now here's a new skill. Practice this, do it well, and feel ease. You don't have to earn one more thing. I get a lump in my throat when I talk about this.
It's good.
You just are. You just are. The fact that you are is really important. Think of 5 people whose lives you make better by being alive. Then think of 10. And now think of those 10 people and the 10 people that they affect, and so on, and so on, and so on. You already are. And so what shifted overwhelm in my life was learning these skills, because that's all they are. Right? We take a webinar on how to be more profitable. We take a webinar on how to build a website, or a webinar, or how to make Facebook ads, or how to coach better. We take skill building classes, and we invest our time, our energy, and our money in fixing ourselves or developing ourselves. That's all really great, but that's all out here. That is outside of your mind, body, and spirit. So if you're going to do that, that's fantastic. But also take the time to develop where the game is really changed, which is right here. Spin around and do this. That is where your life becomes easy, and all of the people around you, their lives become easier. You become so much better of a writer. You become so much better as an executive coach or a leadership coach. You become so much better as a strategist or a brand promoter or an editor. Like, we just become so much better because we are fueled from joy and ease, where we can think clearly and make good choices. So I know some of those are non-traditional. Thank you for being willing to accept these. Thank you for being willing to practice new skills, because that's all these are. You are not broken, bad, or wrong that you don't know them, or that you've learned them and forgotten them. You are exactly where you're supposed to be, remembering more purposefully now.
Mm-hmm. Really good. So many good points, Ellen. Do you want to open it up for questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, first off,
favorite part.
You know, the energy, the talk about energy, some people think of energy, they think it's so woo-woo, but everybody's experienced it. You can feel the energy in a room.
Yes,
it's like
you can.
That energy changes the whole experience of an event. It's all about that energy, and it does build on itself. So is there negative tension, or is it a enthusiastic, welcoming, fun energy? Like, so good. And I love all the science. I'm sorry?
One quick thing about that point, like, we look at kids who are sensitive and we're like, oh, they're really sensitive. No, they pick up on people's energy. They're just tapping in. And we're so busy, we don't. Their minds aren't full yet. They feel this energy. And we ask them to be different. And so, again, I don't want to go too far off the path, but yes, Jamie, everything is energy. And, you know, when I landed on this information over the course of the last 17 years, I was doing all the same things everyone else was doing before that. And it's like, when I really found what was the game changer, I started exploring the science around energy. And it's absolutely fascinating. So everything I do, whether it's in people's health, their mindset, their career, their relationships, it's all based on how do you identify, decode this energy, and how do you make it real? Because I'm all about practical solutions. I need things I can sink my teeth in. I still love crossing things off my list. Don't get me wrong. So
yeah, I'm all about crushing goals too.
Yeah.
But I love your point that it should be something you want to achieve.
Right.
And then always take time to look back and say, man, I'm a rock star. Look what I did. Let's celebrate. It's all about the celebration afterwards, right? It's not just the next. Yeah.
No, it all should be from a place of joy. And so if everything is energy, and energy creates energy, most people think their actions are creating their outcomes. That's not true. Your energy, which is what's creating everything, is creating your outcomes. So I'm not saying bypass the actions, just do them from a place of fulfillment first. Then take inspired action, and then your outcome is the way to receive what you were originally intended with your original energy.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Is it too early?
No, the fact that you are one of the retreat speakers at Soar to New Heights just plays right into that, because the entire event was manifested. I put that energy out there and the whole thing fell in my lap. I came off that zip line. People have heard this story. I've had the harness on me, and I just felt like I could conquer the world, and I needed to create this event and share this experience with everyone and make them feel so great about being able to do whatever they put their mind to, that I just declared to the universe, I'm going to have a retreat with adventure, and everyone's going to climb the ropes, and it's going to be amazing. They're all going to feel what I'm feeling right now. And wouldn't you know it, like, all of a sudden I realized that Jen Groover's has a book coming out about overcoming fear and reaching your potential. Oh, wow. It's the same month as a retreat. So she's like, I text her. She's like, sure, I'll be the keynote. Sure. And then someone else refers me to someone who was perfect for a whole mindset visualization. I was like, oh, too good to be true. I look at her online. She's like, I'm all in. And then you fall in my lap, and then another one, and another. We have like 6 presenters, and the hotel was the only thing. I was like, well, it's just kind of it's an okay hotel, but it's in the middle of the country. They tell me on the last call, oh, by the way, we're renovating the entire hotel. It's gonna be gutted. It'll be all brand new by the time you get here. I'm like, wow. Okay, enough, right? It's crazy.
But to your point, right, it is all about this energy. This is the skill that people need to learn. And that's my deep passion, is just getting this out into the world. So the alignment is beautiful.
Yeah, so good.
It's beautiful.
All right, we'll unmute everyone and see who wants to talk to you. There we go.
This is Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Hi. Great. This is so awesome. I love all the great things you've been sharing, and the neuroscience stuff. And Jamie, your example of how your retreat is shaping up, it makes me think about how the antithesis is also true. I feel like the universe has been telling me, it's time to shift. It's time to shift. It's time to shift. And so different things that have been calling me, or have been, coming to me, because I hadn't made the shift, they weren't feeling as natural, or the transition wasn't happening as organically, right? Or as naturally as I think it should. And so it's been that voice that has been saying, yes, this has been going well. Yes, this has been successful. But is this still your definition of success for you? And just because others are saying, oh, amazing, rah, it's not the amazing words I'm using for myself. And so I hope this is making sense. But
it's making perfect sense. Okay, great. Great. So all these things are great reminders and aha moments that we have to just really pay attention to the universe. And that's part of what led me to the call today. I had, Jamie, I always kind of, look and see what you're doing. I get your email, and I happened to get this reminder. I thought, man, gosh, I can never attend, watch the self-talk, right? I can never attend her webinars. I'm always so swamped, right? And then today I was like, you know what?
I need to make time for me. And I thought, aha, as soon as I declared that, I realized I'm free for this hour. And so those moments when we feel like it was meant to be, it's often because we responded to the universe. So thank you for that. And I'm going to call it out loud and say, it's also meant to be for me to come to your retreat.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
I'm going to claim that as well.
You made me so happy. Oh my God, that's going to be amazing. I can feel the shift for you, Kathleen. This is it. I cannot wait to be on this journey with you. It's awesome.
Good. That would be awesome. Thank you so much to you both.
Yeah.
Kathleen, can I add something to that? Because I think what you're saying is just so important around, it may be good for everyone else that you're really good at what you're good at. Like, it was really convenient for my family that I ran the mothership, like, as a young child. Like, it was really convenient for everybody. But again, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And when you allow yourself to just stop the spin of feeling overwhelmed by that and supporting everybody, and just allow yourself to daydream a little bit about the ideal. Someone said to me, it's like, well, why do you get to have the ideal? It's like, because we're all meant to have it. But if we don't ever take the time to think about it, then we're just going to keep on keeping on. And so, Kathleen, my question for you, you don't even have to work hard at this. Just put this in the hopper of your daily thought. It's like, what is my ideal version of my life? What is the ideal? Don't go for what can I survive today? Or what do I have to do because of the paycheck or the commitments that I've made? What is the ideal version? Because when you are in that high vibration and you are in your ideal, everyone in your sphere, whether you see it or not, is up leveling. My poor husband has been dragged through like 4,000 versions of up leveling simply because I have since we met. The poor guy has got like whiplash. He's like, she's changing, she's growing again. Oh no. We always think we have to change everything out here. Oh my God, save yourself some overwhelm. Go here. Kathleen, you can't see me. I'm pointing to my heart. Go in and just.
I can feel you. I can feel you.
Good. Daydream. What's the ideal?
Right. Yeah. What do you want to
Right.
create?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
You're welcome.
so good.
Yes. Thanks.
So good. Yeah. Somebody recently sent me a text and they're like, cause I'm in a big transition and I've been like hanging on to the old. Finally, I've let go, but hanging on to the old because I don't want to let people down that I've been serving for so long.
Yeah.
And of course, the universe sends me this card, like random in the mail. Sometimes suffering is simply a choice you're making, the result of trying to force something to remain constant when it is destined to change, like all things are. I was like, okay, I hear you. Like, what?
And that's a way better wake up than getting smashed in the head twice.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
here's you paying attention.
Right. Well, somebody sent me a text like 2 days ago saying, you know, a lot of people are missing getting together for local networking. I'm like, and I'm at the point where I'm like, I've got bigger fish to fry. I have a bigger vision for me and for everyone that's involved.
Good for you.
You can go network somewhere else.
Yes, enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't serve them. They think it serves them to have you in that capacity. It does not. It does not.
Yeah,
so suffering is a choice, and that is really inconvenient to say at a dinner party, by the way. I highly advise you don't say that, but suffering is a choice. And we only know it because we practice it and we see everyone else practicing it. So it must be true, right? It must be real. Paleo must be good for everybody because everyone's getting great results. Well, if you are an O blood type, congratulations, you're fueling your blood the way that it needs to be fueled. But if you are an A or B blood type and you're paleo, you're in big trouble. Your blood is sticky and you're going to have some big old health issues. So it's not a one size fits all strategy for life. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Choose your own path like you are, Jamie.
Wow. And when you get to that, it's exciting. Every day is exciting and free. And I just love seeing everything that comes out of it. It's awesome. So Marissa, I'm sure you're chomping at the bit to say something.
I am in love with the fact that you talked about one of my favorite topics in the world, which is daydreaming.
Oh.
I was, just through most of my life, I was told that was a drawback, and I refused to give up on it. And I think that's part of what gave me the courage to quit my corporate job 6 weeks ago and do what I love. I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to maybe the balance between the daydreaming aspect and, as you said earlier, structure sets you free, and how those two work together and complement each other.
I'm going to make this so easy and not overwhelming for all of us. Daydream first, take inspired action, daydream again. I'm going to add one more step. Daydream, inspired action, recall that you're a massive rock star, successful person for having done what you've just done, and then daydream again. So your bookends are daydreaming. Your inspired action and your feeling of success is sort of the peanut butter and jelly in the middle. Okay.
I can do that.
Yeah. We don't have to do anything. I'll phrase that differently. You're invited to look at your life differently. When you can see that everything is energy and you're taking time to daydream is your ability to be expansive and open to possibility. Well, then that energy alone is going to lift you into the most inspired action. If you're not doing that and you're just like, I got to get this thing done. You're like, okay, boom, it's done. Is it inspired? Is it changing the game for you or for anybody? Maybe. But what if? What if you allowed yourself to be the full-on version of you in that energy because you daydreamed? That thing is going to soar, to your point, Jamie. That's going to soar. I grant you permission to daydream.
I like the little blessing too.
Yes. I don't know who I think I am to give myself the right to do that, but I just did.
That's
So, boom.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amy, do you have something you want to talk about?
I mean, it was such good information and, gosh, just so powerful and such a great reminder to the nutrition part, of course, I, totally get, and it does make such a difference. And just that, taking a step and telling yourself that you just did a great job, and the whole mindset of living in ease rather than overwhelm, and you just can perpetuate that over and over and over. And Jamie mentioned something I talk about, how I feel now in life is when you wake up excited to start your day, that's how I wake up, and that's how I try to carry through. But again, these little things happen in our life. We get busy, they creep in, but it was just such a great reminder to get back to that and just continue doing that. It makes for such an amazing day.
I love it. Good for you, Amy. And if you feel yourself in resistance at all, if you're saying oh my gosh, that's so amazing, but just ask yourself, how does that but serve you? That whatever thought or belief or habit that you're in, it's coming up so that you can accept it. Don't push it away, accept it, and then shift it. So it's coming to you on a silver platter. I think, not to say anything negative about some of the newer strategies, I'm not going to say them, some of the newer strategies for mindset. I think people think they just have to walk through life with a positive attitude. Okay, well, that means people are shoving down everything that's coming up to be cleared. So allow any resistance to come in, feel it, say hello, thank it, and then allow it to be released, right? I didn't say muscle through it and make it wrong and power through it and eliminate it or fight it. No, it's hey, hello, thank you for the resistance. I really appreciate you. I actually don't want to structure my day. Okay, what's this about? It's okay that I don't want to structure my day. Why don't I just try it, practice it, and see what starts to shift for me? So do you see how that's very different than just slapping lipstick on a pig and have a positive attitude? Feel the resistance and let it be okay. Accept it and see what it's trying to tell you.
It's really good. Amy and Ellen, you're going to meet each other because Amy is going to lead a roundtable discussion at the Soar to New Heights retreat.
Nice.
Yes, Amy, I just, she joined my group, and then I got her onto Facebook Live, and she's like unstoppable now. So she's on there doing all these inspirational messages. And I was like, now you need to do a master class, and now you need to lead a roundtable discussion. She just has such a great message. She talks about overcoming fear and making an impact in the world. So it's perfect.
Nice. Oh, Amy, I can't wait to be in your presence.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Excellent. Me too.
Really good. All right. Who's Joan? You want to chime in, girl?
Ellen, I thought it was amazing. I just, I think the thing that stands out, I mean, I've heard a lot of speakers in terms of coaching. I know everyone, these days it's like I get a certification, I'm a coach kind of thing. But you just come across as so smart. And the fact that you do it from a place of like science, and the fact of you're very definitive and what things mean, and that's just so impressive, and it has such a different spin on it. And it really speaks to me. I just thought it was really extremely interesting. And, throughout my life, I try to do certain things like the yoga and different things that I see progress and work for me. But it's a great reminder, and I constantly need those reminders. And, the waking up in the morning is the big thing. When I push myself, when I wake up in the morning to exercise, and then I do that, I feel myself feel better. But you gave me another great idea with the inspirational words and reading. And it's just, it's great. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And thank you very much. I love that you've just been able to receive this and just let it flow for you. There are a lot of people out there. Real quick story about a coach. I was in LA recently, and I was in Uber, and I was talking to this guy, and he was really down and depressed. And he shared with me that he doesn't eat for 12 hours during the day. And so I handed him a bar, and then we were driving by an Herbalife building, and he's like, so, hey, what do you do for a living? I said, oh, I'm a coach. He goes, me too. I'm like, that's really interesting. What do you coach on? He's like, well, I'm a wellness coach. I said, that's fascinating. How did you become a wellness coach? And you're an Uber driver. That's awesome. He's like, oh, well, I just became a rep for Herbalife. And I went, oh my God. I said, okay, can you do me a favor and get some health training? Because just because you can sign someone up for a protein powder doesn't mean that you know the science. And so, Joan, thank you for having some value in that. I certainly do.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. It definitely is recognizable.
Yeah. Thank you.
Did everyone get their initial questions answered? Even if you answered them yourself by listening? Yeah?
Yes.
All right. So the retreat that we're talking about is Soar to New Heights. It's September 17th through 19th in Middleton, one of those, New York. We have a welcome reception at an orchard where Ellen is going to be our speaker, and we're going to have a wine and food tasting. Little Culinary Institute chef will be there feeding us. Amazing. And then, is that you?
I am. Twice. So my computer battery is about to die. So
okay. I'm like, there's two of you.
I will shut this one down. I apologize. Oh, can you mute me? There we go.
There we go. I muted one of you. The other one still exists. And then on Monday, we're going to hit the ropes course, which will be team building and ropes at your level. Doesn't have to be 5 stories high like I like to go. We're going to have roundtable discussions. And then Tuesday, we have Stephanie Traeger and Jen Groover coming in. I just want to read to you really quickly what Jen Groover is going to be talking about, because I think when Kathleen was discussing her shift, Jen's talk really came to mind. What Jen is going to do is help you identify the beliefs and emotions that hold you back from achieving your goals and teach you how to program new beliefs that will eliminate your barriers to success. And everybody that attends gets a copy of her new book on me. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. All right, Ellen Palmer.
Thanks so much, Jamie. I really appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah. Everybody, Stop the spin of overwhelm. Soar to new heights, people.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Everyone have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
You too, Marissa.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Be well,
Bye.
Have a
everybody.
great day.
See ya.